Have you ever noticed how some conversations leave you feeling lighter, clearer, more motivated, while others feel like you're carrying a backpack of bricks home with you? Some conversations help you heal, while others keep you stuck, and your brain doesn't actually know the difference. It just wires in whatever you repeat. Today, we're talking about the hidden cost of telling and retelling your problems and how to choose support that rewires your brain for growth instead of pain. Welcome to The Brain Changers, a podcast about learning how to revolutionize the way you think and live by mastering your mind. We're your hosts, mother and daughter duo Rebekah and Yvonne King from Moonbeam Monday. Our goal is to empower you to live the life you choose by teaching you how to retrain your brain. Some people tell us it sounds like mind control, and it is, but not the way you might think. This is about you taking control of your own mind, rather than letting your mind control you, so you can choose to live a life free from the expectations of others. No matter what you've experienced in the past, you can create positive change and transformation by learning how to master your mind. We know this because we've done it. Between us, we've survived cancer and stroke and eliminated debilitating anxiety and depression. We've turned our pain into purpose through the power of our mind, and we're now here to support and guide you to do the same. In this podcast, we share valuable insights about how your brain works, why you think, say, and do the things you do, how to begin the process of change, and why it's necessary. Because we know that when you change your mind, you change your life. Thanks for joining us. Let's go. Welcome back to the Brain Changers podcast. I'm Rebekah King.
And I'm Yvonne King, and today we're going to be asking, is the support around you strengthening you and helping you heal, or is it suffocating you and keeping you stuck?
Yeah, now here's the thing about the brain. It doesn't know the difference between you experiencing something and you retelling it. So every time that you rehash a painful story that we've all done before, your brain fires the same neural pathways. So you're literally strengthening the wiring for stress, for resentment, heartbreak, whatever that story might be about. It's kind of like listening to a song that you hate over and over again, even like if it's on the radio, even though you don't like it, your brain eventually learns the lyrics and you find yourself singing it in your head all the time, even if you're sitting there going, but I hate this song. You just hear it over and over again.
Yeah, it's amazing how it will fix itself in your mind, isn't it?
That's right.
But sometimes what feels like support is actually people feeding off each other's misery. You know, those conversations where it's the same story on repeat, yours, theirs, back and forth, the same story. And before you know it, you're just enforcing the very thing it is that you actually want to escape from. And the thing is also that the more you tell the story, the easier it becomes to tell it. It does become part of you, doesn't it? And that's what we know as neuroplasticity in action. Neurons that fire together, wire together. We've all heard that said, but it's actually a thing. So if the support you seek looks like endless venting circles, then you're not clearing the problem. What you're actually doing is embedding it. You're actually cementing it in your brain.
Yeah, and I guess this is why, and everybody will be able to relate to this in some way. It's why some catch-ups that you have feel kind of like you're in quicksand, right? You go into this catch-up thinking that you're going to be connecting with a friend, having a lovely time, but you leave feeling like you are just sinking deeper and deeper. Perhaps your energy has really fallen down, like you feel heavy and like you've just done 100 laps in the pool, which I don't know about you, but it would definitely exhaust me. Because if that person that you've been connecting with, or if you're in a group, if they or the group are all about sharing struggles, you know, how busy and stressful their lives are, maybe complaining about the state of the world, then your brain is learning to identify as someone who struggles or complains or finds life hard, not someone who overcomes or finds the positive or feels joyful.
That's right. I'm glad you mentioned that because, we used to say that's a negative scenario, isn't it? And we come away from something like that feeling negative. We don't feel good. So the tricky part is this: most people will give advice based on their own experiences, their own values, their own beliefs, or their own worldview. That's the experience and the perceptions that we build up personally over our lifetime, and that means something to us. But once again, it's something that that person would do in a given situation, but it may not be best for you. It's not your particular perception, or it doesn't fit in with your worldview. Now, this might be okay if they also help you map out a way through this, but for that to be really effective, you need to be objective and you need to be seeking the help of someone that can be objective, who can remove themselves from the situation, but can, in so doing, help you see a different perspective. And that's why it's so important to choose very carefully who you talk to about your challenges.
Yes, and of course, we're not saying here don't talk about anything with your friends, don't engage your friends, but we're just trying to make it very clear about what is happening if we're always putting ourselves in these situations. So let's break this down a little bit. I've just mentioned friends. Let's talk about sharing with friends to begin with. So, this could, I think some people call this a venting circle. Perhaps it might even be an online group. So, there's even more ability to just say anything that you want. And of course, we all know there's a lot of negativity online. It's very easy for people to just say things without really having to own it. So, sharing or venting, it can feel really good for a moment, kind of like a relief, like releasing a pressure valve, so to speak. And most of us do feel better when we verbalize a problem, and we're all for that. But it becomes a problem when you talk about it over and over and over. So the more you talk about something negative or complain or any of those things we mentioned before, the more you anchor it in your brain. So you're literally wiring that story deeper. And if the people around you are also stuck in their own stories, then it's likely that they're going to want you to stay stuck too. It makes them feel less alone in their discomfort. It's like you said earlier, and misery is a pretty harsh word, but it goes with that saying, misery loves company. We like to know that people around us are experiencing the same thing as us. It's hard to be a really, perhaps down in the dumps or a negative person complaining all the time about the state of the world when we're around joyful, happy, positive people, isn't it? It's like there's a disconnect there.
That's right. It is quite a tendency. We see this on social media all the time. People gravitate to groups that are going to support them in what they're thinking and feeling. But how good is that actually for us? As
Mm.
you said, misery does love company, but fact is, do we want to change? Do we want something different? And if we do, then we've got to take a look at the company we are keeping. Are we keeping company with people that are simply reinforcing what we're going through? Because when we keep going back to these thoughts, we're going backwards.
Mm.
We're not moving forward, are we?
Yeah.
And if we really do want to change and we want to move out of that situation, then we've got to find the right support. We've got to be able to look at the problem, nothing wrong with identifying the problem, but then we have to find a solution to it and move forward.
That's right. And this is the next part of this. So I guess this is where accountability partners come in. I know a lot of people in business have accountability partners, but
Mhm.
there's no reason why we can't simply have an accountability partner in life as well. When it's done well, an accountability partner can be brilliant. This can be somebody who holds the mirror up to you, reminds you what you've said that you wanted to do or to achieve, and they're there to nudge you, perhaps when you're slipping. An accountability partner done poorly, however, just turns into another venting session. Or it could be even worse, it becomes a competition about who's struggling more. So if your accountability partner session turns into just venting, or if you get to the end of that session, let's say that you meet with somebody once a month on a Monday, for example, for an hour, and you get to the end of that hour and you don't have any takeaway points or you don't have any action points, then that is a surefire sign that perhaps this is not the right partnership for you.
Yes, and if we have got an accountability partner, well, then it does indicate that we are looking to make some changes,
Mm.
and and that's where what we do with coaching, and let's compare this, what you've just said, with what happens in coaching, which
Mm.
is what we do. And this is where people could get a little confused because coaching is not therapy. It's not about diagnosing or treating a mental health condition. It's not mentoring, where someone teaches you based on their own career path or expertise, for example. Although coaching can include a degree of mentoring, and it's definitely not just a friend with opinions giving you advice. In
Mm.
fact, that's not a coach's role to give advice, but what it is a framework-based recalibration. Now, if you think of your brain like the operating system on your phone, coaching helps you update the software. Now, we all know how often we have to update software on our phones and computers because if we don't, they're not going to work properly.
Mhm.
So, coaching doesn't delete your history, but it can change the way the apps are running. So,
Mm.
in other words, it can give us a much clearer perspective and it helps us to get new and different results.
That's exactly right. And I love that analogy. Now, if you're listening and thinking that this sounds like what you need, here's how I can help. If you're listening to this thinking, I should be doing well, but something still feels off, if that sounds familiar, you are exactly who I created the Life Reset for. Maybe life looks pretty good on the outside, but deep down, you know you'd feel completely different if you had the confidence to back yourself. Maybe your brain just doesn't want to switch off. You're second guessing decisions, replaying conversations, lying awake at night, going over the same things again and again. Or perhaps you're simply looking for direction, knowing you want more, but not sure where to even start. That's what the Life Reset is all about. It's not advice or quick fixes. It's about rewiring how your brain works so you stop getting stuck in the same old habits and finally create the change you've been craving. Imagine feeling clear, confident, and calm at work, at home, in your relationships without that constant mental drag. If you're ready for your reset, book a free connection call with me. Visit moonbeammonday.com.au or find the link in the show notes. Okay, so here's an example that really brings this whole topic to life, and it might even shift the way that you think about support altogether. So think about an athletic coach. If you're training for a marathon, your friends might cheer you on. They're going to say, go Beck, you've got this. They might even jog along with you for a little while, or they'll definitely sympathize with you when you're tired and when you're sore and you can't run any further. And I would hope that they're going to tell you how proud they are that you are taking on this challenge, right? That's your friends, maybe even your family. It feels supportive, but it doesn't change your performance, does it? So it's just there as support. Whereas an athletic coach or a running coach, they are going to watch you run. They're going to watch your stride. They'll notice when your posture's off. They're going to help you tweak your breathing. They're going to give you drills that build endurance. They're even going to look at what you're wearing, clothes, shoes, socks. Make sure that you're actually wearing the best outfit that's going to feel comfortable and get you the best results. They're not just listening to you complain about your sore legs. And I applaud anybody who runs a marathon, and of course you're going to have sore legs and feet at some point. But the athletic coach, they're showing you how to run smarter so that you don't get injured, and you'll actually finish stronger. You'll get the results that you want. So that's what coaching does for your mind. So, an athletic coach doing and of course, mindset is a huge part of doing something like running a marathon. But the coaching in the way that we do it is very, very similar to an athletic coach. We don't just listen to you vent about how heavy the race feels. We look at the patterns in your thinking, give you tools to change them, and we help you get across the finish line in better shape than you even thought possible. And the results that you get are clarity, feeling clearer in your direction, clearer, making clearer decisions, feeling more energized, building the confidence to stop second guessing yourself, being able to say what you mean without worrying about it before you're going to say it, or without replaying that conversation over and over in your head for 3 days afterwards, thinking, oh my goodness, I shouldn't have said that. Coaching creates practical change because it works with how your brain learns by rewiring these patterns and these habits that have been created through conditioning over the years, instead of rehearsing problems over and over again, because that's essentially what we're doing when we simply talk about the issue over and over.
Yes, so I think that's an important point, isn't it? When you have coaching, your coach is not necessarily your friend, just there to sympathize with you. Your coach is there to help you make those changes, to guide you, and to help you get the best out of your life. Another example that might resonate is this. Let's say you've just come out of a really tough breakup. And every time you see a particular friend, they might say, oh, how are you coping? Tell me everything. Have you heard from him or her? It all sounds caring, but what it does is pulls you back into the past and into that story, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Now, a coach, on the other hand, would help you ask these questions. Who now do I want to be in this new chapter of my life? What do I need to believe now? Or what do I need to do now to move forward? And if you identify a pattern like, I've been through this before, or how often have you heard people say, I tend to choose the same type of man or woman
Mm.
every time I'm looking for a relationship?
Yeah.
Well, that's where a coach is able to work with you to find out why this is happening, why you keep going back to this pattern, and how that pattern can be changed. This, I think you can see now, you can begin to see that the conversation a coach might have with you is a completely different conversation. It's one that helps you change your future instead of reliving the past.
That's right. And a coach is there to very gently and kindly challenge you. like you were saying before, they're not there to be your friend and agree with everything. Although, having said that, I mean, I end up being friends with so many of my clients
Yes.
because we end up on the same page. But as a coach, you want to be uh, ensuring that you are asking the right questions that are just going to challenge a little bit, because challenge is where we grow, right? If we're always comfortable, if we always stay the same, then we're not growing, we're not improving, if that's what we're wanting to do. All right. So, um, going back to what you were saying there, we can even set boundaries in everyday conversations, right? If somebody asks, how's it going with your ex, for example, you can actually choose to say, actually, I'm moving on from that, so I'd prefer not to talk about it. It's not being rude, and I know some people at first do find it hard not to engage. No, we're so used to it. We know how to play that tune, right? We know that pattern and we just fall into it. It does take some practice to say, actually, no, I'm not going to talk about that anymore. So, a reminder that it's not being rude, it's actually training your brain to put its energy where you want it to go. So, it's like that analogy I've used a few times before. It's taking back the wheel of the bus. So instead of sitting in the back seat of the bus and having some other crazy person, your unconscious mind driving the bus, you are walking up to that seat and you are saying, "Get out, I'm in charge." And you are sitting down in that seat and you're taking the wheel. You're driving the bus in the direction that you want it to go. So this is about taking back control of your mind.
Exactly. Mm.
So our challenge for you is this. See, we like to throw a challenge out there. Our challenge for you is this. Look at who you are sharing your struggles with. Are they people who help your brain rehearse the problem over and over again? Or are they people who help your brain rehearse the solution? Because whichever one you repeat, that is the one your brain will wire in.
And if you're not sure what it is that you do actually need, whether that be coaching, mentoring, therapy, psychiatry, we have a simple guide on our website at moonbeammonday.com.au under the facts section there. It explains the difference between all of these, and here's the short version for you. Coaching is for people who want to go from good to great. People who are ready to grow and to make changes and to do the work to make their brain their best ally, not their biggest critic and detractor.
That's right. Okay, so let's recap on all of this. So, venting to friends, it might feel cathartic and they may mean well, but their advice will always be filtered through their lens, through their beliefs, their values, their perspective. There's nothing wrong with that, but this is about you. All right, always talking about your struggles with friends or with anyone, will wire you to stay stuck. Accountability partners, they are very helpful if they keep you future focused. So ensure that you are actually working toward your goals in those sessions. Choose an accountability partner who actually keeps you honest. So let them put that mirror up in front of you and helps you stay on track. And then coaching, well, that's where the real transformation happens. It's like you said, Mum, updating the operating system so that your brain runs on possibility, not problems, so that the apps are actually functioning the way that they should be and that gives us the best results. So if you truly want to go from good to great or great to phenomenal, then invest in a coach who can help you recalibrate with proven frameworks, not just opinions. And if you are curious what that could look like for you, let's have a chat. Book a free connection call with me and we will see what is possible for you. I'll drop that link in the show notes.
Unfortunately, that brings us to the end of this episode. So thank you so much for listening to the Brain Changes podcast. If you know someone who's caught up in their story and could use a new perspective, why don't you share this episode with them, because we know that it could really help them.
Absolutely. And remember to follow and subscribe so you never miss an episode of the Brain Changes podcast. And we would love for you to leave us a comment or a review. It really does make a difference in helping people find us. And we're very grateful for your help. So until next time, remember, when you change your mind, you change your life. Bye for now.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Brain Changes. We hope you've enjoyed the conversation today. Please like and subscribe to stay up to date with all the latest episodes. Our mission is to reach as many people as possible to help them revolutionize the way they think so they can change their brain and create profound transformation. Please help us broaden our reach by sharing this episode with someone you know will benefit. And remember to tag us on socials at Moonbeam Monday and leave a review. And remember, when you change your mind, you change your life. We'll catch you next time for another episode of The Brain Changes.